and welcome to Late Night Love, where real life gets messy and we don't look away. Tonight's episode dives into the chaos of work, the heartbreak and hilarity of parenting, and the tangled web of modern relationships. If you've ever packed a lunch, dodged a coworker's gossip, or questioned your partner's past, this one's for you. And we've got a couple quick reaction things we're going to do tonight. But before we start all that, make sure you send your questions, comments, suggestions, blah, blah, blah to love@latenightLove.us. And you can find us on all your favorite social medias. Do the like, subscribe thing, whatnot. And we really should answer our short comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, someone should. Okay. So we've got all that. So first off, we've got our live segment. Let me see. Where am I? Which set am I on? All right, so let's kicking off with the grind of the workplace. Whether you're dodging passive-aggressive emails or wondering why no one or maybe not. We'll kind of find out as we kind of go through. We're gonna try a little.
Because you're always cold on these.
Yeah, I paste them into the website. I don't always have time to read them. Like today, I had no time to read them.
Ooh, I love these days.
So I
These
just
are good.
I just posted
Sweet.
them in, and we'll see what's gonna come. We're gonna see what happens. First we show up, and then we see what happens.
Because I get to see how your mind works. Because you start out one place and you go along and you grow, and then about 3 minutes later, then you're like, wait a minute, Shazam, and then there's this big major thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. All right, what are we starting off with today?
Okay. My boss walked in on me filling out job applications.
Did he say anything?
No, but things have been weird, apparently.
Well, yeah, don't fill those out at the job.
You really shouldn't.
Yeah.
That was your big clue. You know, you're on the job.
Well, I mean, you could have been on your break, but even still, right? People know that all people are looking for. People know where they sit, where their job sits in the economic ladder. They know people are off looking for better opportunities. They'd be dumb not to.
Yeah.
But, you don't necessarily want to rub their nose in it. Okay.
Oh, I whistleblowed on my colleagues as there was a health and safety risk, and my manager CC'd in my colleagues at the end of our conversation. Now I feel like my colleagues no longer trust me.
Well, from their perspective, for good reason, right?
You didn't go talk to them.
Yeah, you didn't tell them about it. You kind of whistleblowed on your colleagues about this health and safety risk that they knew they were taking. Right? Sometimes health and safety gets in the way of, yeah, but you're going to make me take an hour and a half to do a 5-minute job. Just get out of my way. And we're just going to do it. It happens. And then you get whistleblowed on like he's deep throat or something. It's some dudes didn't follow safety procedures, and unless you're at like a nuclear.
I would be miffed at my manager.
Well, that too, but you're acting like, unless he's working at some place where that kind of safety has huge, a chemical plant, a nuclear plant, one of these things that, if you're just some dudes working in a warehouse and did something stupid, it happens every day. It's a common occurrence. You didn't whistleblow on anything.
You don't know that. It's possible he
could
have.
The only whistleblowing is if it's something, I'm guessing that this person is a bit more overstating you want to make it feel more important than it really was.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my guess. I was just doing the right things. Yeah, probably, but sometimes how you do the right thing is more important than what you do. And then your manager forgetting to delete all the other emails at the bottom, just being lazy. Unless you were being nitpicky and even your manager thought so, and so he's going to let the crew deal with it.
That smacks of military, man.
It's how warehouses and assembly lines work for hundreds and hundreds of years. So there's how it is sometimes.
Does that make it any? Oh, your fly's back.
Yeah, every time we're in here, there's the fly is in here.
But that doesn't mean it's still okay.
Yeah, I know.
Just because it's been going on.
Just because this fly keeps being in here doesn't mean it's okay.
She just wants a life.
I can have one somewhere else. Anyway, so yes, your colleagues aren't going to trust you because from their perspective, you've violated the trust of team.
Mm.
You know, you went around them, and then, you know, depending upon how you said it, you know, maybe you exaggerated things, and yeah, because now they got to see how you interacted with your boss. May not be the necessarily, yeah, all right, we were being stupid and taking shortcuts because we were tired, and at the end of the day, and we didn't want to spend the extra 2 hours, you know, to do it the proper way, so we just got it done. Yeah. But then you were a whiny little pain about it. So now, again, it's how you do these things. It's just as important as
Now, has this ever happened to you before?
what with health and safety. I am the reason for regulation for rules in employees and workplaces. So has that happened to me before? Of course, it's happened to me before.
I wondered where this attitude was coming
I
from.
am the reason for meetings. So yeah, it happens. It happens. It is what it is. It changed rules for me. It's nothing new. All right, what do we have next?
My boss wants me to micromanage an incompetent coworker. So does he get his pay, his boss's pay too? Because he's doing his boss's job.
Well, it's not your boss's job to micromanage somebody else. It's your job to get somebody else to do it. You're a manager. Whether the other person likes it or not isn't really relevant. Now, as the manager, the boss should probably get that incompetent coworker to move on, or maybe it's your job to figure out how to get this person who appears incompetent, but maybe probably isn't, just wasn't trained properly, doesn't really know the job. So your job is to get them to know what they're supposed to do. So you're saying micromanage an incompetent coworker. You know, another way to look at that is it's your job to train somebody who is improperly trained.
Oh, that's a lovely spin on that. I like that.
So, you know,
It's an opportunity.
yeah. You know, stop thinking of them if they're incompetent for a reason. Maybe they're a complete moron or out of league for the job they have, or maybe they just weren't properly trained.
Okay.
Oftentimes they just weren't properly trained. So now guess what? It falls on your plate. So do the job. It's your job. You know, sometimes your job is, you know, things beyond your what's necessarily on your job description. I still don't have a job description, by the way. And yeah. So your job is to micromanage, and it is to get that coworker from incompetent to competent. That's your job. Not to micromanage them. It's to get them from -1 to 1.
There you go. It's an opportunity, you know. Yeah.
If nothing else, you will learn new skills that you can use elsewhere.
Couldn't you put that on your resume?
Well, if you're successful.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Okay. People with kids do less work than the rest of us. This guy just wanted to rant.
Yeah.
You know, with leaving for doctor's appointments and recitals and, you know.
So maybe the solution for that is for you to go spend more time with your nephews and nieces, and brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and friends and family. That's what take the time off. That's what they call paid time off for.
Yeah.
or they're sacrificing pay to go do that. So stop worrying about what other people. This is my solution to this kind of process. Don't worry about other people. Do your job and don't worry about what other people are or aren't doing.
That's so simple.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to be miserable. You're always comparing yourself to other people. Are you getting paid the same? Are you doing the same amount of work? Are you doing less amount of work? It's like trying to run around keeping a scorecard of everything your life interacts with. It's dumb and counterproductive. Spend so much mental energy focusing on what other people are not doing, rather than that energy that you could be used for anything for yourself.
Yeah, but how easy is it? Because sometimes it just gets annoying.
I'm not saying that it doesn't get annoying, but you learn to shrug it off, like water off a duck's back, and you move on.
Okay.
You got to practice this stuff. It's not
All
like
right. All right.
it's not like it's a light switch and you can turn it on and off and say, "Oh, I'm fine." No, it's practice. Like anything else, it's
Okay.
practice. You have to remind yourself that
No, that's important information.
it's not your business, in a sense,
Mhm.
right? Focus on yourself. Save the time that you're spending thinking about them, thinking about you, stuff you want to do. It's much more productive for you. Just think of the bad attitude you have in life because you're worried about what other people are and not doing. Spent all this time typing up a comment and a big old long rant Reddit, which means they thought about it for hours upon hours. So
At work.
yeah, so
Watching these people.
yeah, I'm not even caring about the work productivity part of it, one way or another.
No,
I'm
no,
just talking.
I'm saying this is how much energy that goes
Yes,
into it.
I'm just saying
know.
forget work for the betterment of yourself. Stop. Now you've got all this extra time and energy and a better attitude to have a better life.
There you go.
Just saying. Okay.
Why don't more people pack lunches?
Because it takes planning, man.
You have to plan during your grocery shopping so you have enough for the week.
Not necessarily, even if
Even a couple days, but
Yeah.
you got to plan. And then if you're smart, you make it the night before and put it in the fridge.
Yeah, well, then you have half day old food stuck in it's already a half day old when you eat it, even if you make it in the morning. Then you make it now it's the whole essentially a day old food sandwich. If you're having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich stuck in the fridge for a day, it's not the greatest in the next day.
Well, no, you have ham and mustard.
Well, there's all kinds of things you can have for lunch. A lot of people have their leftover spaghetti or whatever from the night before. They'll have
Yeah.
leftovers from the night before.
Then you got to fight for the microwave.
So why don't more people pack lunches? Well, they do. If you go to people's warehouse jobs and jobs don't pay as well, you'll see a lot more people who bring their lunch.
Yeah.
Right? They may have a cooler in the truck and you don't see it because they don't care about you. They're out eating their lunch. Now, if you're sitting in San Francisco and you're one of the tech bros or whatever, and you're eating out every day, and everybody around you is eating out every day, then yeah, how come no one's packing a lunch? Because they don't have to. Sometimes those places give them free lunch. Other times they're paid enough that they don't have to. Why bring a lunch when you can go down the block to make a choice, whatever. And you're networking half the time at lunch anyway, so you don't really network when you're sitting there eating out of your lunch box. So it really kind of depends on where you exist in the workplace environment. You go down to the more blue collar stuff; they pack their lunch all the time. Now, except for maybe electricians. Everybody else packs their lunch. Electricians go to lunch.
I used to pack my lunch because I didn't like having to the stress of driving in lunchtime traffic, getting into some place that's packed, and I gotta wait for my food, you know?
Yeah, and you got to go for lunch at the same time with everybody else is going to lunch.
Exactly.
And if you happen to get a slow crew that day, you can end up being late without even getting to eat your lunch.
Exactly. I hated that.
I drive home. I drive a 7-8 minute drive home, eat lunch, and then go back.
It is not 7 minutes, is it?
No, here, no. But when I would other places, when I would,
Okay.
yeah, I'd go home even if it was almost 10-minute drive, hoping you don't hit traffic. You get home for 10 minutes at most. All right.
Does your boss make you study your job while you're at work?
That's called education. Yes. And you're lucky that your boss lets you do that
Yeah,
at work.
at work.
Yeah. What are you complaining about? That's, part of learning your job is being really good at it. And you can't become really good at it without studying in some form. Especially if you're like a salesman or something, you've got a wide range of products that people call you for or something.
Mhm.
How they all interact with each other and whatnot. So, yeah, you're lucky that
Most people have to. In fact, I know somebody knew someone who was in that exact same position with radios. Actually, it was radios. They had to take them home.
yeah. When I worked way back when on assembly lines, they'd actually give you their product catalogs, and you'd take them home, right? And you had to study them to see what each product does, what its limitations are. Now we on the assembly line didn't really care, so we just didn't pay any attention to it because we just followed what was on the order. That's all we cared about. But the guys who are in sales, they have to know what to use for what applications, under what conditions, and they have to and they have to design these, and so they have to know all these products in and out, So, yeah, this is the fact that you're allowed to do it on the job while at work is a benefit of the modern era, I guess.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, lots of places make you study your job while you're at work. Lots of times I'm doing research at work, right? Lots of times I'm going, I don't know what to do. No one else does either. So guess who's figuring it out, right? It happens far more than people realize. Some issue comes up, no one in the place has ever dealt with that thing before. So guess what? Someone's got to figure it out. So anyway.
And that be you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what is last?
Okay, last question for the life questions. How do you deal with coworkers that stand around and talk and gossip all day? Abuse sick time, break and lunch hours.
You mind your own business. If you notice it, so do the people who are in charge.
Believe you me,
And
they
so,
really do.
what you say is stand around and gossip all day. It's probably not all day. Abuse sick time, break time, lunch hours. No, you have bosses who don't nitpick over 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Right? As long as your productivity levels are high enough, they don't really care the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And if you can gossip half the day and still get 8 hours worth of work done, he doesn't care, right? Because you're still getting your 8 hours worth of work done. And the reality is they're not gossiping half the day, it just feels like it. And sometimes you're working while you're gossiping, right? People are working with the person next to them, and so they're just chatting every day, going through their mindless tasks that they can go through. And person sitting on the other side of the cubicle don't want to hear it, right? Gets tired of listening to it. I would this mindless chatterbox, the chatter that these people are engaged in. And yes, it is probably mindless chatter, but it's getting them through the day. So here's my thing. Do the man thing and learn to ignore it. It's like we can drive down.
You said it. I didn't.
What? We can. But we have to learn to ignore it. It's not like it's an innate skill.
No, be a man.
Yeah. Man up and learn to ignore it.
You learn how to ignore. Well, I that's not exclusively a male skill.
Oh, really? Would anybody tell those two women to man up and shut up? I'm just saying. I don't think it's. Yes, learning what to hear and what not to hear are skills that even women have, but men are uniquely qualified for whatever reason at literally not being able to hear it. Just, I no longer hear that noise. It's like the car when your car's dinging because you haven't have your seatbelt on, it's dinging away, and you don't care because you're no longer hearing it.
I always hear it, and it makes me crazy. Every time we drive to the grocery store, it's only a block. Thank goodness.
I don't even hear it. I know it's dinging. I just don't hear it. It's like listening to the children. You don't hear most of the noise. You only hear whatever it is
And that's what I was thinking. You got your mom. I had my mom dar on. When I hear certain phrases, or I kind of black it all out until they're screaming and yelling. Then hold on, what's happening here?
So there's different ways of that, but back to the same one was we talked about earlier. Mind your own business and don't make it yours. You'll be much happier that way.
I agree.
All right. So if you ever felt like your office is a reality show with no cameras, you are not alone. Step out of the fluorescent. Oh my God.
You can do it.
Step out of the fluorescent. Oh my God. Fluorescent lights and into the living room. It's time to talk parenting on our next episode. All right. God, what the heck was that? I could not say fluorescent for the life of me.
Was that 2 or 3 times?
It was 3, I think.
What were you saying? Fluorescent?
I have no idea what was coming out of there. All right. What? SAHM. What is that?
Where?
Number 6.
Stay at home mom.
All right. We ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to Late Night Love. We explore the awkwardness of parenting friendships, the emotional walls of teens, and the oh my God, stay-at-home mom or working parent. Plus, what happens when your child's passion doesn't match their talent. But before we get to all that, I was going across the interwebs last night. I came across a thing that I want to show our audience here, just because it's got us. When we talk about love is more than. There's a reason we separate love and relationships, and this is actually a good explanation of why we separate love from relationships. Because love doesn't have to be with somebody you even know. You can express love to people without knowing who they are. So let's do it.
And standing on the sidewalk, must have been in his 80s, waving at me like this. I didn't take my mom's advice. I approached the stranger. I said, sir, is everything okay? And he looked at me and he said, 17 Crescent, 17 Crescent. I'm like, are you trying to get somewhere? 17 Crescent. Found out very quickly, he did not speak English. He was from Poland and he had a backpack full of sausages. And so I started asking him ID, address, and he just kept saying 17 Crescent. After 4 minutes, the guy pulls out a piece of paper from his back pocket with his sister's address written on it. I was like, why didn't you pull this out 4 minutes ago? So I take the address, I punch it in my phone, 35-minute walk, it's a 3-minute drive. I purchased the Uber, $7. He had no idea what was happening. The car rolls up, still had no idea. I was like, he then walks into the car, starts getting emotional, rolls down the window, and he's like waving at me like he's my grandfather. Drives off. I have a hypothesis as to why doing good is sometimes challenging. I believe it's because it's one of the most meaningful experiences we feel in our hearts when we serve somebody else.
And there's truth to that. It's difficult for people to step outside their comfort zone and help someone they know or don't know, because you never know where that's going to lead.
Well, and there's a myriad of things that could happen. You never know.
Yeah.
It's the great unknown when you say, can I help you? You're really stepping into it.
Yeah. You're essentially letting nature take the wheel, God take the wheel, depending upon your perspective of this. You are setting yourself up for the unknown. And that's difficult, but it can be rewarding in small ways.
It really can.
I mean, you get a nice way from an elderly man as he gets to go see his sister for the first time in who knows how long. Instead of a 35-minute walk, it's a 3-minute drive. He gets to arrive safe. You've done a little good in the world and spent $7-10, in 5 minutes. It's a small price to pay for that warm, gooey feeling you have in your heart, right? Especially if you have it. So I don't know. If you have room, step out as often as you can. Don't be unsafe, right? He's a young man dealing with an old man. He was perfectly safe. You don't necessarily have to step out of your safety zone, step out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
So we'll leave that at that. All right. But parenting isn't just about raising kids. It's about surviving the social minefield that comes with it, from introverted children to attention-seeking meltdowns. Let's talk love, family style. Good God almighty.
This is wonderful.
It's wonderful for you. All right. Where are we starting?
How do you tell another parent you have no interest in being friends?
Do
you have to?
This is the thing. You're an adult. You just don't, when they offer you to go to lunch or dinner or coffee, you just do this thing called say no. And over time, they understand that there's not a relationship there. That's how these things work.
You
don't have to be rude or about it.
They'll get it.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
And, if you have to put up with them at your son's baseball games or something, well, guess what? You just have to put up with them at your son's baseball games or something. Life's like that sometimes, and you just have to deal with it. Sorry, there's no golden answer to that one.
It doesn't mean you have to be rude. You still, hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
There's
no need. There is no cause for rudeness, right? That's but there is cause for kindness. You don't have to hang out with them, but you don't have to be rude or unkind. So there's no need to tell them you don't want to be friends. You just don't be friends.
Just don't be friends.
Yeah. Happens every day. Okay.
Parents of quiet, sensitive, or introverted kids, how did they turn out?
Like any other kids. They roll the same dice of turnouts as everybody else. Just because they're shy or introverted or sensitive doesn't mean that the whole world of life experiences are still open to them. That lots of times they are very good at being in public, functioning, right? They spent a lifetime of pretending to be a functional, so when they get to adults, they're actually pretty good at it by now.
Yeah.
They're pretty good at pretending they want to be there. That's actually a very good skill. They're actually, in many ways, they're ahead of the game because they have a lifetime of practice, right? Of dealing with networking events and all these kind of things that they really don't want to be to, that other people don't have the practice of. So in a sense, they've got different set of skills. You just start life with a different set of skills. That's all it is. And we've seen major comedians talk about how they're shy. We've seen people who can't sing in front of a crowd but can sing in front of a stadium full of people. They can't sing in front of their family, but you put them in front of a stage with lights and a crowd screaming, and they're perfectly fine. Of course, they puked before they went out there, which is the part you don't know.
You don't know that.
But they do. They manage it because that's also who they are. So quiet, sensitive, or introverted kids, they are essentially the same as anybody else. They can all turn out fine, or they can all have a rough adulthood. Just because you're extroverted and doesn't make you, automatically more successful.
It doesn't.
And you're going to have to define what success is before you can, how they turn out. In that case, I'd worry more about the sensitive kid than the quiet or introverted one, because they're the ones who are the emotional roller coaster. Quiet and introverted kids, they're not on an emotional roller coaster, right? They're doing their own things. They're used to doing their own things, and the world can go to heck, right? That's their attitude,
Pretty much.
And so they're perfectly fine. It's the sensitive ones, the ones who live life on an emotional roller coaster. Let's separate those from the other two. Now, they can still run the gamut of life experiences, but they're on, the potential dangers of going too far up or down, the proverbial roller coaster, the
Yes.
ups and downs of that emotional that can wear on you over time.
It's exhausting.
So that's the one I'd be worried about, but not introverted or quiet kids. So they're perfectly, they want to be by themselves. They're fine. At worst, they'll find some job where they can be themselves and live by themselves, and they'll go be a hermit or something. That's not they're all right. Sensitive ones.
You gotta watch. Keep
Yeah,
an eye on them.
Yeah, you got to watch out for their emotional management.
Yeah.
Okay.
My teen shuts down when I try to talk about emotions. He's 15.
Gee, imagine that. A 15-year-old boy that doesn't want to talk about emotions, and here's why. He doesn't understand them. He's 15, right? It's a wave of emotions that he don't understand. Many of them are embarrassing, partly because you don't understand them. And so, of course, he's going to shut down. It doesn't mean he's not listening. Stop expecting a response. Shorten your lectures to 2 minutes, maybe 3 if you have to. Get them in, get them done. Don't expect him with a response. Let him sit on it. When you respect his need to process these things, he will eventually start responding to you. I mean, unless he's dealing with an emotional problem, but it didn't really sound like an emotional problem, right?
Didn't sound like it, no.
No, because my teen shuts down when I talk about emotions. It's not saying
He,
my
he's
teen's
not, he doesn't ever talk ever. No, just when he starts, want to talk about his feelings.
Yeah, well, he doesn't understand them. He can't explain them. You're asking him to put words to things he can't put words to.
Exactly.
So stop expecting him to.
Yeah,
You
please.
keep your conversations, one-sided and short. Help him help him with the words he's going to need, right? Give him the words he's going to need. So later on, when he's ready to talk to you, he has the words he needs. You've been through teenage. We've all been through it. We all know the emotions he's dealing with. You know, and as long as he's not, you know, experiencing emotional difficulties one way or the other, right? As long as
Yeah.
this is just kind of normal teenage stuff, you have time to work through this. There's not an emergency to deal with, right?
No,
It's
there wasn't any signs
there's just
that
perfectly
she
normal
stated.
perfectly normal 15-year-old behavior, and you are trying to help them through this emotional period. What you need to do is help him by giving him the words he's going to need to explain these emotions. And it might be easier if he has, you know, someone else to talk to, maybe someone not you, not his father, you know, bad Uncle Bob. You know, sometimes they have a perspective that others don't, you know, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, uncles.
Uncles, friends, you know, whatever. There's usually someone.
I had older cousins.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it's a friend's older brother, right? That helps them with understand the emotions. Or, you know, that's how it normally works. Generally speaking, from a men's perspective, they don't learn it from their friends. They learn it from their friends' older brothers or sisters, kind of through osmosis. They hear them, they watch them, and that's how they learn. It's better that they learn that from you because then they get the proper perspective. So keep your discussions short. Don't expect, especially in the beginning, don't expect a bunch of, you know, don't expect a conversation, right? You know, just say, I want you to know that I know as a 15-year-old, you're experiencing all these emotions. Here's some words to help you explain them, right? And you give them some words, you know, and sometimes it's difficult to tell the two apart. It's difficult to tell the difference between frustration and anger, right? Especially as a teenage boy. It's very difficult. There's a fine line. And how do you know the difference? Don't know. But, you know, you can figure it out. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to your emotions. Try to figure it out. Are you angry or are you frustrated? Think about it when you've calmed down. It's hard when teenage boys are in the heat of emotions to sit there. So you practice doing that afterward. And then when they're a little older, you now have the practice of doing that and they can apply it during the heat of emotions. That's how you get emotionally stable young men. Now, if I'd have known this when my boys were teenagers, it would have been a lot more helpful for them. But, you know, live and learn. I am pushing my wisdom out into the world, and hopefully people can learn from my mistakes. So, there we go.
I know. Well, the world is listening.
Well, I was actually pretty good. By the time my boys got to be teenagers, I was not terrible at that. But I would have preferred
I
to.
think you did wonderful.
I did okay, but I would have preferred to a slightly different approach to teaching them how to manage their emotions. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no regrets or anything. Did the best I could with the knowledge I had, but you know, knowing what I know now, I would have made slightly different choices, not hugely different choices. I would have made some slightly different choices. Still would have thrown pennies, but that's a whole different question.
Man.
Okay, what's next?
Do any of your kids actually like going to school?
Some kids like going to school, and then some kids don't. And you can put that about. Well, I don't know if I want to put a percentage on it, but it's the girls and the boys are generally flopped, right? Girls don't dislike school more than girls like school more, generically speaking.
Social.
Yeah. Well, for one, it's not designed for boys. You're asking these active boys to sit in a classroom for 6-8 hours a day, and it's just not how boys operate. You're essentially asking them to counter their nature. If you're going to do that, they need more recess. Keep them in school longer, but give them more recess, right? There's options there. Boys need to burn that energy. They need more practical learning, especially when they're young, so they don't suck the life out of them wanting to go to school. That's the real problem. Is they take these young boys, 6, 7, 10, and they put them in a classroom all day when that's the age where boys need active learning. And so by the time they're 11, 12, 13, they're sick of school. It's been counter to their nature this whole time, and so they're tired of it. And they build bad habits, and it's going to be difficult for them to get back on track. So I don't know. I don't necessarily would want to create 2 tracks for women, for boys and girls, because there's girls who could benefit from an active learning, and there's boys who could benefit from this, or we'll call it social learning styles of young ladies, right? And so you don't want to make it exclusive, but can we do a better job of getting our kids into the proper educational environment for that child? This is not the 1950s. We know better now, but somehow we still want to take all these wide variety of Skittles and make them out, and they all want to come out as, I don't know, a brown Skittle or something. I don't.
That's what they did. I know.
It's just so irritating, because education is the most important thing, but they're not getting educated in our schools, and it's driving me crazy. And the ones who are getting educated in our schools would get educated in almost any circumstance.
Say again?
The people who are getting educated in our schools, the ones now who are they would get educated in any place,
Oh,
right? It wouldn't those students, the really good students, doesn't matter what your education system is, they're going to thrive in it.
okay.
It's the rest of us, the rest of everybody else, that pays the price.
Yeah.
Like what is it? They just did the um reading and math levels for graduating students was like the lowest they've ever recorded.
No.
Well, why would it surprise anybody? 5 years ago, they disrupted their entire lives. Schools were crap anyway, and then when they came back, they've got this disjointed learning education system since then. It's it's not even a unified system anymore. It's all, which is fine if you deliberately want it that way, but it's designed as a unified system, but everybody's got their own. It's the worst of all possible worlds. Is what we've created post COVID. We've literally done the worst of all possible worlds. So, and now it's those kids now are the ones, the graduates, because the ones before were already in high school. They had already gotten their basic education, right? So now it's the ones who are in middle school and earlier who are starting to graduate. And those are those kids, right, where the education system essentially exposed itself to not care about kids. Right? That's essentially what happened during COVID, which many of us knew about, right? The education cared about the education system. That's, that's what, when something becomes a certain size, it cares about protecting itself. It's what it does. You almost can't blame it. Anyway, we went on a tangent.
Just a little.
Just a little bit of a tangent. My apologies. Yes, some kids like going to school. Almost every kid likes being educated.
Yes.
So if your child is not liking school, don't get your heart so down, right? Keep your chin up, because it doesn't mean your child doesn't want to be educated. So you can take charge of their education. Find them a different school, homeschool, supplement, so they at least have fun learning at home. Keep that desire for an education alive. That's what you need to preserve. Not the desire for school, desire for education.
Yes. I agree.
Okay.
What do you do when your child is enthusiastic about a hobby, but less than talented?
You let them pursue it. God.
Pursue.
Pursue it.
There we go.
Let
Good job.
Let them do it. And the reason is because you never know. Just because they love the hobby, maybe they end up becoming a coach.
Yeah.
Who knows? Those who can't do teach, right? It's those kind of things. Let them experience their love. Maybe they become a writer, and cover it as a sports podcaster, sports broadcaster, whatever it is. Let them never squash their love. You do want to have realistic goals for them. If they're not a very talented person, you don't want to go put them on a traveling team.
Yes.
But you encourage their desire to participate in something they care about. You don't have to be good. Maybe they don't care that they don't get to play all the time. Maybe they just like being on the team. They like going to practice. They like hanging out with the guys. And on occasion, he gets to play.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's a lot of kids.
a lot of kids are like that.
Yeah.
And, a lot of kids have gotten a lot of benefit from that, from networking to learning how to, practice,
Learning how to be on a team.
teamwork. Every teamwork has a role. Sometimes you need people to practice against, right? The main guys need someone to play against. So that's what the bench players do. Their role is to help the other players become better. And hopefully in the process you become better, right? That's but that's your job. That's why they have practice players in the NFL, right? And in NBA, not just to cover for injuries, but because they serve an important role. So let them encourage them is my
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please do. Don't squash
Don't squash.
anything that love us something.
No,
No.
but you can keep it realistic.
no.
You don't have to lie to them either.
Yeah.
Yeah. But encourage them to participate. Okay.
Obnoxious attention seeking when guests come over. Will it ever end?
Who your guests?
No. The child.
Oh, when they get older.
They will.
Yeah, when it's teenagers, they'll want to leave their room. So just wait. That's just what they do at that age. What, toddlers? 5, 3 to 5.
6.
So yeah, perfectly normal behavior for that age.
Yeah.
They're learning. They're trying to become. They are practicing being an adult. They are trying to mimic the behavior of people they see around them. And of course, they're 5, 6. They're doing it poorly. Of course they are. But they're learning, right? This is how they learn. And when people, don't give them the attention they are seeking for that behavior, they will change their behavior to different, right? They'll try out different behaviors. So just let nature take its course. Yeah, you can still tell them to behave themselves, quiet down, and all that good stuff, but you don't want them to become unruly. Rules still apply, but attention seeking, let them do cartwheels. Who cares?
I did.
Yeah. All right, last one, love.
That was the last one.
No, you missed one.
Oh, I missed one. Okay. Stay-at-home mom or work?
Well, we're assuming that finances isn't a huge issue.
No, it's not really.
Then
I mean, things are tight, but they're making it.
okay. So here's the question. Can you make enough money working to pay for the costs?
3-month-old and a 6-year-old.
You can't make enough money to pay for the costs of your daycare.
Not with a baby.
Not with the infant.
Sorry. No.
I mean, depending upon her, maybe she could, right? Maybe she's a high-level accountant or something, right?
And
she
CPA.
And she could,
or whatever.
and she could flip in and start making enough money to pay for it. But is it worth it at that stage?
I mean, I didn't want to miss my children's baby.
Well, see, I would never tell someone who has career ambitions to not go back to work.
No,
I would never say that.
No.
But if you're vacillating because, it's best for somebody, doesn't matter who, be it dad, mom, grandma, whatever, somebody is home in the family to take care of that child, right? That is ultimately the best. Mom, dad, grandparent, historically, those are the best way to raise a child long term, right?
Yes.
The most stable way to do it. Doesn't mean that you can't do it other ways and be just as successful, if not more. It just means that, pencil out percentages. Having a family member take care of that child long term is the best for their long term health, for their long term outcome.
It is.
But, ends have to meet, right? And long-term ends have to meet as well. And so she could be sitting out of a potential long-term career that could be much more beneficial to her family long-term. And so these are factors in the theoretical equation that we don't know. And it's all those various factors that you have to sit down and you have to contemplate. And then ultimately it's going to be an emotional decision. Do you want to stay and raise your children, or do you want the career? And there's not a right or wrong answer.
No, there's not.
There's not a right or wrong answer. We are going to be 100% clear. There's the answer for you and your family, because we don't know. Maybe in a couple of years, you're making enough money because you went back to work. Your husband can stay home and raise the kids and go through homeschooling and do all the and do the stay-at-home dad things. So we should just call them stay-at-home parents rather than stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home dads. They should just be stay-at-home parent, because it doesn't matter. It's not really relevant if it's the mom or the dad who stays home, but that is, statistically speaking, the best chance for the child, for the family. But, people land outside this, weird things happen. So I would never tell anybody to not chase your dream if your dream is, your career. So did we just vacillate out of not giving an answer? Yes, we did. Because there's no simple answer. And I think
None.
And I think that's part of the problem with these things, is we try to pretend there's a simple answer, that one way is best or the other way is best. And the reality is the way that works for you and your family is the way that works for you and your family. And you can't say one is better than the other, because you're never going to know what would have happened had you gone the other way. It's impossible to know. So you make the best choices you can and you live with them, like humans have done since the beginning of time. So whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a working parent, or just trying to survive a dinner party with your kids' antics, you deserve a break. But don't relax just yet. Our final segment gets a bit personal.
It does.
I've got to rephrase these. I haven't quite gotten the segment exit correct yet. So anyway,
I like it.
well, yeah, but they're not coming up next. They're coming up 2 days from now.
Oh.
For the live feed, it's coming up next. But for the podcast releases, they come up in whatchamacallit.
In segments.
Yeah, in episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you really are having word problems.
I am.
Today, are you?
It is crazy out here today. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Late Night Love. Relationships are messy, and tonight they're downright wild. Strap in for stories that blur the line between love, betrayal, and bedroom boundaries. But I actually have another thing that I forgot to queue up. I knew I was supposed to do something. So again, that's not what I meant. So I was perusing the interwebs the other day, and this came across my shorts feed, and it's a good story about what it really means to love somebody. It actually makes me cry. So, which is not necessarily difficult. So let's be clear. Tears me up. I tear up at the drop of a hat. So it is what it is. But it's just one of those things. It's because it's knowing your partner's needs is part of the long-term partnership and understanding them. So we'll talk about it on the other side.
Okay.
Yesterday, my husband asked me if I wanted to go to Walmart, and I said, no, honey, I'm so tired, I just want to relax today. And he kind of put his head down and said, well, all right, well, I'll see you when I get back, and I love you. I waited a good 10 minutes, and I know dang well he just wanted to be with me. And I called him, and I said, honey, I think I do need something from Walmart, knowing I didn't. I said, how far are you? And he said, only about 10 minutes. You want me to pick you back up? And I said, please do. And I walked outside, and I stood in the driveway waiting on my husband to come and get me, just like we did when we first got together. And seeing that smile on his face, I knew I'd made the right call, literally. See, with my husband, it's about quality time. And although I get exhausted from day to day, I know my husband needs that from me. And I don't ever want to miss an opportunity going to Walmart with him, even if it's just to Walmart, because one day I'm going to miss that. You know, it's about communication and listening about what the other person needs from you. And he needed me yesterday, and I had to give myself to him. That's my marriage for you.
Ooh.
Yep. She had said no and realized, wait, he needed something different today. It wasn't just a trip to
It
Walmart.
wasn't a trip to Walmart.
It wasn't just a trip to Walmart today. It was something different. And
Yeah.
She realized that. Tried to fix it and did. So anyway, that's that. When you talk about marriage and love, that's the stuff that's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you're tired, you're exhausted. You don't even want to recognize that your partner needs you today. But you know what? They need me more today than I need to sit around and do nothing. So I'm gonna go and do that. See, I just tear up at it. Anyway, so just a nice.
No, honestly.
Yeah.
Do I do that for you?
We have our own ways of doing things, right? We take care of each other. Just saying, we take care of each other. We do what each other needs. Now, would I say there are times when I've asked you to go to the store when really I probably just wanted to hang out with you somewhere outside of the house and felt disappointed? But it's disappointed. It's not anger or it's not upset. It's just disappointed, right? So it's different, you know. So yeah, I'll say that. I'll go that far. But there's times when, I don't want to do so. I'm sure there's times when you've been disappointed, right? So that's also what happens.
Well, I know I just have to be patient. You always, you won't go for very long, like without like hanging out with me or, okay, we don't go out a lot.
No.
But we spend quality time. You're always there for me. You're my rock.
Well, the one thing I would say is I would never ask you to change your schedule, but I do miss you at late at nights, 10, 11 o'clock at night when we used to be night owls.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, that's all. But hey, you need your schedule for reasons that you need your schedule for.
I'm actually waking up in the morning now.
Yeah. So
yeah. And you wake up around 10. When I'm up, 6, 7?
Yeah, it depends. You're all over the place sometimes.
I know. Sometimes I'm trying not. I wake up. Okay, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Never mind.
I don't think they're interested in our. Well, maybe they are, but who knows? We'll find out. Okay, so what do we've got going on tonight?
Okay, let's just really get into it right out the gate. Found out my boyfriend got a naked lap dance the day we found out I was pregnant. She was like 6 months old, 6 months along when this happened.
Uh,
Okay, she found out. I flew off the handle and slapped him and broke things. And now she is full of remorse. And he's not, he's trying to be understanding and he's contrite. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Darling, please calm down. You're going to hurt the baby. Yeah. You were 6 months pregnant, Lordy. Give yourself a break.
well, I don't know. Here's the thing. How much of a break do you give yourself? Would you give her partner a break under similar circumstances?
No, that's true.
But, extenuating.
But she's 6 months pregnant.
Yeah, I know. We give women a lot of passes for bad behavior. We give them a lot of excuses. We give men a lot of excuses too, but women have unique excuses. So we can't, there's two things at play here. One, she can't actually forgive herself for her bad behavior. He can forgive her. And he probably already has, would be my guess, right? She cannot forgive herself because otherwise she will allow herself to go down that path again. Right. So she has to nip this in the bud on her own. Right. And yes, you can blame the pregnancy for the extra surge of hormones, which may make you more prone
It was more extreme.
more extreme reaction, but that reaction still is in there.
It is.
It's a reaction that she's probably been able to contain because of previously. That's what she needs to work on. So this particular incident, one singular incident never bothers me, right? Extenuating circumstances, I grant those things from an external advisor or from the partner's perspective. But from her perspective, she should not forgive herself. She needs to work on that part of herself that has these reactions. I'm not saying she needs to beat herself up constantly over
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying she can't forgive herself.
This,
She can't go, oh, well, I'm pregnant. It's
I
fine.
know. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah. So I think we can be understanding, but I think her husband has already forgiven her, right? Men are very easy about forgiving these kind of things. We don't care. The slap didn't hurt that bad, and we can buy new dishes. That's it's not a problem. And I was an idiot, so all right, we'll round it up. Yeah, it's fine. We'll forgive you. 6 months, we'll forget about it, right? It's literally how we are. But she should not allow herself, because that becomes a dangerous road. Once you allow yourself to respond that way, once you give yourself a pass for responding that way, it becomes much easier to.
No, she has to spend some time in the mirror.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. She clearly doesn't necessarily like this about herself. She's full of remorse. So she
doesn't want to repeat it.
She's on the right path. So
yeah.
But I just wouldn't be so quick for her perspective to give her the pass. Make sure you do some work before you give yourself a pass. How's that? Okay.
My cousin has convinced herself that my husband is in love with her. How do we deal with this?
I don't know. That's actually a good one. What I suppose the best way to deal with this is you kind of don't, right? You just kind of drop contact.
You just don't talk to her.
Yeah, that's really the initial way you deal with it.
Yeah.
You just kind of stop contact. Hopefully these things, she finds a different fascination. Now, you may want to have a conversation with a brother, mother, somebody about, mental state. Because maybe she's, latching on to things that aren't real, disconnected from reality, shall we say. If she's disconnected from reality here, she may be disconnected from reality in other places, and that can get dangerous for her, if nothing else.
I agree.
So it may be a conversation with someone who has some influence with her, mother, brother, sister, that type of thing is the place to start. Maybe that's the, find the rational person in the family and who hopefully has
some influence. Yeah.
because not all families have rational people in them. So, you may be stuck. She may be the rational one in the family, right? So, but my guess is there's a mother, brother, cousin, uncle, grandma, grandparent, something that has knowledge that can help you navigate. So break contact where you can, and then seek out some, the family matriarch to help you navigate it. There we go. That's a better answer.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm nervous about meeting my boyfriend's best friends for the first time. How do I handle insecurities and boundaries?
Okay. Well, why are you already talking boundaries?
What's happening here?
Yeah.
They're supposed to meet up for some drinks, that's,
Yeah. Well, I understand the nervousness, right? I get it. You're meeting your boyfriend.
You want him to like you, everything to go well.
Yes, but you're already talking about, so you're handling insecurities, but you're already talking about needing to impose boundaries on why are you trying to control his relationship? It's not like they're coming. It doesn't appear like they're coming to stay at their house or something, and you need for a couple weeks, and you need some, boundaries about
No.
where you can go. So, what boundaries could she possibly be talking about?
And she didn't stay.
Yes, I'm getting this. I get the feeling, and I could very well be wrong, that she's this boundaries comment makes me think that she's wanting some control of this relationship. And that is what's gonna make his friends not like you. It's perfectly fine to be nervous. They're expecting that. They don't even have to like you necessarily. But as long as you don't try to control their relationship with their friend, you'll be fine. Right?
You'll be all right. Really. But let go of the whole boundaries issue. Just let it be.
Yeah, until there's a need for it, there's no need to have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'd be my thing. Change your perspective. You're there to meet someone's friends.
Yeah.
You're not there to define how relationships are going to work long term. That's
You just say you're just meeting up for drinks, dude.
yeah. Don't make it into something it's not, and
There you
that will
go.
help with your nervousness,
There
right?
you go.
Just go and spend some time with your boyfriend. Say
Yeah.
hi, like go bowling, do whatever it is you do. Just be your natural self as best you can. Stop worrying about controlling things, and you will be fine. You start worrying about controlling things, and you're going to end up with problems. Simple as that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
This one's my girlfriend and her best friend used to hook up
Uh-huh.
with other people.
Uh-huh.
And they would do videos and stuff, and they just had a grand old time.
Okay. Yeah.
And he found out about this, and he confronted her, and she's like, "It was years ago. It was just it was a short period of my life when I was just went a little crazy, and that's not how I view things now. I just want to be with you."
Well, see, this is the thing. They're in their
but
late 30s, right?
But he doesn't know what, he doesn't know what he should do.
It's here, look, for all of you in your late 30s, it's your millennials, right?
Yeah.
You guys have to understand that the hookup culture you guys were so proud of has consequences.
Yes.
And so now you as a person have to decide how you're going to deal with this going forward, because you're going to have large chunks of the theoretically available population is going to have some form of history that you are going to find shall we say, distasteful,
Done-
questionable.
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 Yeah.
So me personally, I'm like, so you know, these kind of things don't bother me, and I'm old, but maybe that's why they don't bother me. But if they do bother you, then they bother you, right? So you're just going to have to make a decision now about how these kind of things you're going to deal with these kind of things going forward. And is it going to be an issue or is it not? You're going to allow it to be an issue or not? And if you are, if that's your standard, then that's fine. Just understand that that's your standard. So I also don't understand the need to. I'm confronting someone about things they did long before we
even met.
knew each other.
Uh,
Yeah. So the very fact that you felt the need to confront, and rather than we discussed it.
Yeah, I found that very interesting when we first got together. I asked you, did you want to hear my history? Usually people want to hear it, and you're like, no.
Not that interesting. I'm
That
old.
was I'm more interested in now.
Yeah, I don't have time for them. I don't have time for the past, So I don't know. It's so my suggestion would be to learn to live with these kind of things, right? Because you're gonna eliminate a lot of perfectly fine human beings by not doing
You
so.
really are.
But you have, there's not a right or wrong answer. If that's your standard, that's your standard. It's perfectly fine to live by them, and go look for someone who doesn't have such a, storied past. But you're in your late 30s. Sorry.
You're gonna come up. This is gonna come up again.
Yeah, everybody's going to have a past at this stage, and so
Yeah.
how active that past will be is, might be a different question. But everybody's going to have a past. Okay.
We opened up Pandora's box with BDSM, and I don't see my husband the same anymore. Now, she did say their life outside of the bedroom hasn't been affected.
Well, except it has.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And but he doesn't treat her any differently.
But she treats him differently.
Yeah, but in the bedroom, that's all he wants to do is BDSM. He doesn't want to do vanilla at all anymore. And she just doesn't see him in the same light as the same person. This was something she knew nothing about, his personality.
Well, that's the problem with opening Pandora's box, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't put that stuff back.
You can't.
Well, this is part of the problem. One, when you've put something away for a long time and then you get to go out and play with it again, and you like an obsessed child, you play with it all the time until you get an opportunity to get bored with it. Now, the problem with this perspective is you're not a toy. A human being's not a toy, right? And so, and we don't know which side these things go on, right? These things can go. Just give me a second. Yeah. All right.
It I mean, it's not kind of to be expected, I think. That you're gonna see him differently.
Well, this is one of the reasons I always say I don't like having, putting power things in relationships. It makes things weird.
Yeah.
You don't like playing power games because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Even if it stays in the bedroom, it doesn't actually stay in the bedroom. And this is a perfect example of that, because it can't help but leech. Because again, one person wants it more often than the other.
She's done.
The natural.
She wants it no more ever.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
You're gonna have to talk to him.
Yeah. And you may have essentially broken your relationship. It's entirely possible.
It might.
It might be because now he doesn't want to go back into he doesn't want to put his sexuality back in the box.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, clearly he doesn't. So this is kind of the question: how important is it to each one? These are the questions. These are the weird, goofy things that end relationships, right? So, just saying. So understand, how important that kind of thing is to you before you start going down that road. Okay, what is next?
Okay. My fiance does not seem to like sex.
Yeah, that happens actually. Sometimes they have undiagnosed medical conditions, so it's not comfortable, and so because it's not comfortable, it's why do you want to do something that hurts? Type of thing. Maybe they have shall I say, an unpleasant history around it, so it becomes a chore, or there's some, maybe even if the trauma has been dealt with, it still has echoes. Yeah. So and you happen to trip into that. But just as we discussed, you're going to have to decide now how important a sex life is or isn't to you in the grand scheme of relationship calculations. How important it is to you, because you're going to have to assume it's not going to change for the better. Maybe it does, right? Maybe she hits 30 and flips, the proverbial switch flips, and she becomes the tigress. That's why I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
Can that happen? Sure, but you better not expect it. It can happen, right? Maybe it's a medical thing. Maybe she's going through some hormone things. Maybe her birth control pill is having a causing sex drive issues because it's the wrong hormone mix for her, right? There's a wide variety of theoretical things this could be. Or she could just be one of those people who don't enjoy sex but is willing to do it anyway for the love of her partner. And
it seems like that's what she's been doing.
So,
because she really does care for him.
Yeah. But that's a hard thing to continue on for 20 years.
It really is.
And you can do it for 3 or 4, but 10, 20, it becomes a different task. Not that it hasn't been done. Not that it hasn't been done, but it's a
I
different.
remember a line from an old Western, just close your eyes and think of cannon peaches.
But here's the thing. Have this discussion before you go beyond fiance.
Yes.
Because if you can't talk about this now, the ability to communicate your way through this is going to lead you a long way into how successful you are going to be in communicating your way through lots of problems. So if you can communicate your way through this successfully, you'll be able to communicate your way through pretty much anything your life throws at you, because this one covers like all the bases: embarrassment, personal thing, right? It's just no one wants to talk about this kind of thing. So if you guys can sit down and have a rational human conversation and deal with whatever it is, whatever it happens to be, then you guys are on path to a successful marriage. So that's what my suggestion is: deal with this like the adults you are, and as uncomfortable and that conversation is going to be, have it, because you don't want to have it in 5 years when you've pent up frustrations and everything else is resentments and all this stuff is built up. Have it now where you don't have to deal with all that extra stuff. Right now is the easiest time this conversation is ever going to be again.
Ever.
It's never going to get easier. It's only going to get harder. So have it as soon as possible.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay, last question.
All right.
Do condoms usually hurt?
Oh, well, that's a thrilling last question.
And she's a female.
Yes. Well, usually One, I wouldn't really know from a female perspective
Okay.
if they usually hurt
They-
or not.
They do if it's dry. You have to use a lubricant, and then you can. But you really it shouldn't really feel that much different.
Well, I would think that the skin slides past each other a little smoother than whatever you're using. The very fact that you need lubricant, right? You need extra lubricant is telling you that it's a little stickier. Doesn't mean it hurts, just mean it's a little grabbier.
Yes.
That's all it means. But again, if something's hurting and the question is, does it hurt without? Maybe she doesn't want to test that theory. And so, which is understandable, right? Not wanting to test that theory. But I'd be curious as if it hurt without. Or is this something is just intercourse is painful, and that's a doctor's question.
I was going to say, please, in any case, please go talk to your doctor.
Yeah, make a phone call, even if to the nurse practitioner, the
Yeah.
nurse advice thing, or something. Because,
And believe me, they've heard it all.
yeah, it's because I'm more worried about that it hurts when there's not condoms on.
Yeah.
And this is an intercourse pain problem, and there's 100 things. Well, probably not 100, but there's a number of things that can cause that can be dealt with.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, it shouldn't hurt, right? On occasion, for everybody, sex becomes uncomfortable, right? And sometimes there's pleasure in pain and all of that kind of stuff. But generically speaking, it shouldn't hurt. That's your
No,
first
it
time.
shouldn't.
That's
No.
your first time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your first time. Put that caveat in.
Yeah, we'll put that one in there again. We
Yeah.
discussed that last week.
Yes, we did.
All right. So whether you're navigating jealousy, kink, or awkward family dynamics, remember you're not alone. Love is complicated, and late night love is here for the ride. That's a play on words. Okay, let's wrap up tonight's episode of Late Night Love. If you've laughed, cringed, or felt seen, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and join us next time as we keep unpacking life, love, and everything in between. Until then, stay curious and kind, and even a little bit messy. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Good night.